What is going on, y'all? It is Thursday, November 21st. Welcome to another edition of the Mission Ready Men podcast here on the SHR Media Network. Um, it's kind of been like drinking from a fire hose the past few days, especially since I wasn't with you on Tuesday. There is a lot to get to, and I'm not sure I'm going to get through all of it. In fact, I'm fairly certain that I'm not going to. Um, But like I said, there's a lot to get into. Is World War III about to kick off? Um, we have cabinet picks to talk about, leftist meltdowns, and just so much more to get into. So instead of talking about it, let's get after it. Like I said, thank you for joining us here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch all the other great shows like The Edge of Liberty with my friend Sackhead Sean, The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe, and The Berserk Bobcat Kaloon with BZ himself. Now, before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share these videos, subscribe to the channel, let everyone know what we're doing here because the big tech overlords and their algorithms are even though we won the election, they're still trying to suppress our message. So the more you like and share, the more people we can reach, and the more we can get that message out. Because, like I said, even though we won the election, it's the fight is really just beginning, and so we really need to do what we can to get the word out. And for all of us here at Mission Ready, you can follow us here at Mission Ready Men on all the social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Mission Ready Men. And for our merch, like this, head over to missionreadymen.com, click shop, and check out all the great designs that we have going on over there. All right. First, and I guess most pressing for a lot of people is World War III. President Biden authorized Ukraine to use our missiles to strike in Russia. And the question really is at this point, why is he did he do that? And the only real answer the only real answer I can come up with that makes any sense is they're mad that Trump won. And well, apparently, folks, there's some technical difficulties with the live stream. Um, if you can hear me, great. You can't see me, we'll try and figure out what's happening and uh, get that worked out. Um, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna continue the march and try and get try and get everything try and get everything worked out. Anyway, as I was saying, the President Biden, um, he authorized Ukraine to use missiles to target uh, points inside Russia. And the only real reason that I can think of is that they want to hand Trump a war. They want to limit the things that he can do domestically, and by having him focus on a war. And I don't know that that's going to work because Putin has already signaled that he will listen to some peace talks, but he will only do it with Trump. So even though he did fire some missiles back into Ukraine, um, there's conflicting reports um, as to whether or not those missiles hit anything or did any damage or anything like that. But the point being, President Trump, President-elect Trump, and Putin and Zelensky are probably going to be able to work this out if cooler heads prevail for the next couple of months until Trump can get into office. And I'm not sure that the left's plan, Biden's puppeteers plan, is going to work. Now there is the threat of all the NATO nations also authorizing their weapons to be used by Ukraine into Russia, and Putin has said that that type of escalation does put um, them in direct participation of this conflict, and which puts us in direct participation of the conflict with our agreement with NATO. So it is a complicated situation, especially when you also consider that Putin just enacted a law over there that makes it legal for him to respond to this type of aggression with nuclear weapons, which is another scary thought. Now, since he signaled that he is ready to talk peace with Trump, I don't think that is. I think that's just posturing on his part, letting it be known that he's still the bad guy that everyone believes him to be. Um, so I don't anticipate World War III actually kicking off. I don't anticipate a nuclear holocaust. I really think this is just his posturing at this point. I really think this is just um, him puffing out his chest saying, "Don't mess with me." But I think at the end of the day, he is going to choose peace. And I think that once Trump gets in office, this is all going to calm down. I really do. So let not your heart be troubled. This is going to work out. I really believe that. All right, before we move on, let's have a word from our sponsor, My Freedom Beef. It is, excuse me, it is kind of scary what is going on with our food. We see all kinds of nonsense going on with our food supply these days. And I know for families like mine and others, a lot of people are trying to just to do everything they possibly can naturally and grow their own food, raise their own livestock, things like that. When you can't do that, um, My Freedom Beef is a perfectly it's the best option, really. And when you think about what's uh, in your beef, My Freedom Beef is 100% Angus cattle beef, and not just certified, but actual 100% Angus beef with no hormones and no antibiotics, raised in a pasture and grass fed. Everyone at this point, especially when we consider everything that's going on right now, everyone deserves to have to be able to feed their families with food, with meat that they can trust. So visit myfreedombeef.com/Jackson and see why 20,000 patriots a month are switching to My Freedom Beef. Check out My Freedom Beef at myfreedombeef.com/Jackson and get the finest beef in America sent to your door at unbelievable prices. All right, now back to the show. It's the left has been melting down ever since they lost the election on November 5th. They have been in a tailspin, and nothing not nothing well, there are all kinds of examples of how that's happening. But some of the biggest examples have to do with Trump's cabinet picks, and Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth. I've mentioned them before. I've talked about them on Twitter. I think the last time I was with you guys, I talked about it a little bit, but it's just gotten worse. Tulsi Gabbard is a patriot. Tulsi Gabbard is she has deployed to combat areas. She has fought in Iraq, and she's still in the military as a lieutenant colonel, I believe. And Pete Hegseth, he served honorably for 20 years, earned a couple of Bronze Stars. And both of these people have been, well, with Tulsi Gabbard, it started when she ran against Hillary. And, well, apparently there's still some technical issues, even though I thought we got that straightened out, but apparently not. So if it's just audio, I apologize. But still stick around and listen, because we still got some good stuff to talk about. So Tulsi Gabbard, she has been accused of being a Russian asset. And when you talk to these people and you ask them what evidence they have that she is a Russian asset, one of these people called her a toady of Assad when she went over there to talk to when she went over to Syria to talk to Assad. But then when that one particular person was talking to Joe Rogan and he asked her, well, what do you mean by that? What do you have? What evidence do you have? She had absolutely nothing. None of them have anything. All they have is the statement by Hillary Clinton, who said that she is a Russian asset, or a favorite of Russia, or a darling, something like that. And it's just ridiculous that we still have to deal with this kind of ridiculousness. And I am going to play for you one of the people who, well, actually the very first one who brought this up, and somehow she's saying what she said has been taken as gospel. Check this out.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far.
Now, when asked if Clinton was referring to Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat of Hawaii, Clinton's spokesman said, quote, if the nesting doll fits, He added, quote, if the Russian propaganda machine, both their state media and their bot and troll operations, is backing a candidate aligned with their interests, that is just a reality. It is not speculation.
I'm not making any predictions, but
Not speculation. These people are just, it's amazing. These people can get away with saying anything, and there are no consequences. And you see this nonsense repeated over and over and over again. And you see it on social media, you see it on, you see other elected officials yammering about this. All the leftists have repeated that lie in one form or another. And the latest one was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and this this is what she had to say.
Tulsi Gabbard is someone who has met with war criminals, violated the Department of State's guidance, and secretly, clandestinely went to Syria and met with Assad, who gassed and attacked his own people with chemical weapons. She's considered to be essentially, by most assessments, a Russian asset, and would be the most.
Is that how you consider her? Is that what you consider her?
Oh yes, there's no question. I can. Tulsi Gabbard is.
Wow, just these people have no shame, no shame. They will just say anything, absolutely anything to advance their narrative. They will say anything that, and they know that the American Pravda is going to support them, regardless of whether or not anything they say has any truth to it whatsoever. And it's really unfortunate, and it's why it's why the cable news is dying. And we're going to get into that later on here, but it's just ridiculous that we have to deal with this. So you have Tulsi Gabbard being labeled a Russian asset, a darling of Russia and all that nonsense. And then Pete Hegseth, who served his country, like I said, honorably for 20 years, served in combat, earned 2 Bronze Stars. He is being labeled as a white supremacist because he has a couple of tattoos. One of them says Deus Vult on his on bicep, which is Latin for, I believe it's Latin for God wills it. And it was a saying used by the Knights Templar during the Crusades. I don't know how that translates into white supremacy, but here we are. And I really hope that he sues these people, especially this person. Check this out.
Add the Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth, the Fox News commentator as well, because this is someone who, weekend host, important distinction.
Why is that
this is someone who, is known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist, whose platform, whose book is basically about his opposition to the advancement of Black officers to the top brass. And then add the Secretary.
Okay. I don't know where she gets this notion that he is known to be a white supremacist. I don't understand that at all. It must have to do with the tattoo, the Deus Vult tattoo, and then he has a Jerusalem cross tattoo on his chest, and ignorant people think that has something to do with white supremacy as well. Just ridiculous. But here's the thing. These people need to be sued. They need to be sued into oblivion, because there is absolutely nothing about him that says white supremacy. And what she said about his book being about keeping Black people from rising through the ranks, it has nothing to do with that. He was talking about DEI. He was talking about promoting people simply because they're Black, simply because of certain characteristics that they have, rather than them earning the promotions. That's it. And people who have been in the military understand this. No, we don't care. We don't care as long as you can do the job. If you can do the job, Black, white, brown, purple, green, doesn't matter. Do your job and everyone will get along just fine. It's that plain and simple. And that's how it should be regardless. That's how it should be across the board. If you can do the job that you're being paid to do, that you're supposed to be doing, and you do it well, then you deserve a promotion. It's that plain and simple. And I really do not understand these people who think that just because of the color of my skin, I automatically deserve something. I automatically deserve, take reparations, for example, because my family, going back several generations, were slaves, that somehow I deserve to be compensated for that somehow. No one I know has ever been a slave, and no one I know has ever owned any slaves. And everyone I know would be happy if I were to earn some type of promotion, if I were, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. If you earn your position, great. If you're given a position by virtue of you being a certain race or gender, well, then you're going to be called into question whether or not you can actually do the job that you've been given. And that concept seems to be lost on all the, either lost or they're just willfully being ignorant to it, which is also very likely. Very likely. All right. We're going to move on, and I'm going to talk about something that something that I said before that we were going to incorporate some of these topics into the show. And this one has been on my mind for a while, and I think it's something that we need to talk about. And the question is why I choose to believe the Bible, why I am a Christian. And I could tell you it's because that's how I was raised, because I was. And I could tell you that even though I was raised that way, I ran from it. And after 50 years, I decided to give it a try. And it worked for me. And that's some people's response as well. And I could say that. And it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, because there's just so much, there's not a lot of links to that logic chain, quite frankly. It makes no sense. and men, because this podcast is geared towards men. Women, if you're listening, we love to have you. But men by and large operate with facts and evidence. We want things to make sense. And if they don't make sense, then we're going to continue to question it. And so one of the questions that gets asked a lot is why are you a Christian? Why do you believe the Bible? And for me, and I cannot take credit for this explanation I'm about to give you, but when I heard it, it brought everything into really sharp focus. And when you do hear it, I think you'll understand why. And the reason I believe the Bible is because the Bible is a reliable collection of historical documents written by eyewitnesses consisting of 40 different men during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses, which spans 1,500 years, 3 continents, and 3 different languages. And I'll talk about that. I'll have more on that in a minute. But these documents that have been written by these different men report supernatural events, and those supernatural events are the fulfillment of very specific prophecies from Scripture. And like I said, I cannot take credit for that explanation, but when I heard it, my mind was blown, because it like I said, it brought everything into such clarity. It made such perfect sense at that point. And when I heard it, I had already become a Christian, and so I was already a believer. But to hear it put in that way, like I said, it just made perfect sense. And one of the most famous passages happens during the crucifixion, when Jesus says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" And he was quoting Scripture. I believe it was Psalms, but I'm not 100%. So you'll have to forgive me on that. And by all means, feel free to look it up. But Jesus was quoting Scripture as he was dying, and that was a prophecy from what we now know as the Old Testament Scripture. And it's just, and there are so many different instances of that type of connection that it's you can't ignore it. Once you start reading it, and if you're a believer, you just can't ignore that. And there's a video I want to show you, and it's a visual representation of the Bible and the connections. And this is Pastor Robbie Galati. And again, I apologize if you can't see this. We're still working on trying to get the video up. But here is Pastor Galati talking about all the different connections in the Bible. Check it out.
Every cross reference in the Bible that is overt, an overt cross reference in the Bible. Guess how many connections in the Bible? 63,779 connections in the Bible. And every one of these connections points to a theme. If this was the work composed by one man, you're gonna love this, we would say this man is a master What a masterpiece. He's a master composer. The problem is, this is written by 40 different men over 1,500 years on 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, in 3 different languages, Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. And the entire book tells one united story. It's all connected together. Friends, the only answer for this, young people, listen to me. The only answer for this is God. Period. You find me another book in all of human civilization that even scratches the surface of this. This is a graph that shows.
I mean, between what I said and that visual representation, it is really difficult for someone to look at that and say, well, no, it's a myth. It's written by a bunch of guys, and it's been translated and mistranslated and all that stuff. And I could get into all the ways that that's just completely wrong. And maybe I will at some point if you guys want to hear me talk about that, I can. So let me know in the comments if you want to hear that. But it's so glaringly obvious that the Bible is the infallible Word of God, the inspired, infallible Word of God. And that is why I choose to believe the Bible. And that's why I think you should too. All right, y'all. That's going to be the short sermon for today. I hope y'all enjoy it. I hope it provokes some thought, piques some curiosity in you, and you go check it out. You won't be disappointed. I guarantee it. All right. Anyway, I don't know if y'all can see me now or not. I hope you can. While that video was playing, I tried to do a couple of things, and maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. So we may end up cutting this a little short if things don't if things haven't been resolved. But I did want to go back to the some of the appointments that Trump made, because and I was going to talk about this on Tuesday, but obviously since I wasn't here, I was quite under the weather the past few days. I'm feeling pretty good now, not 100%, but probably about 85%. And so I wanted to make sure I didn't miss another show. But there, Ron Johnson. Let me just go ahead and remove that. Sorry, Ron Johnson. He was asked about some of he was asked about some of. And I just got word that you can't hear me, so maybe we will cut this short. But anyway, Ron Johnson was asked about some of Trump's picks, and he whipped out a picture of. And since you can't see it, I'm not going to bother trying to show you the video. But he whipped out a picture of Richard Levine and the bald guy in a dress, and I can't think of his name right now, who who was like the deputy in charge of nuclear waste disposal or something like that. And he asked the reporter who was asking him about Trump's picks if they harassed any of the Democrats about Biden's picks, those picks when he made them. And he whipped out a picture and kept it moving. And I just think that was a boss That was a boss move on his part, because it's true. Nobody said anything about those obvious mental cases. Nobody said anything. It was just business as usual. It was just, I don't even know what. Just okay. All right. So I'm told that when I play videos and show screens, that works. So maybe I will show some more show some more stuff to illustrate these points. But anyway, nobody said anything. Nobody questioned it at all when he appointed these mental cases to these prominent positions. But patriots like Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, who are stand-up people with no skeletons. I know Hegseth has that rape allegation, but come to find out, there's a whole backstory behind that. And the 17-year-old who he was alleged to have sex with was being paid by somebody who hated Pete Hegseth, and that person is now an OnlyFans model. So there's that. Anyway, but yeah, nobody questioned any of that. Just, I don't know. Hopefully now that Trump is going to be in office, prayerfully now that Trump is going to be in office, we can rid our politics of some of this degeneracy, and make it so that these things that were once fringe, that were once people actually felt a sense of shame when engaged in these types of things. Hopefully we can get back to that and not have to deal with this nonsense on a regular basis in our daily lives and politics. But since we're here right now and we have to, I'm gonna talk about Nancy Mace and what she's trying to do, because she introduced a bill. There's a gender diluted dude in a dress who was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from Delaware, and this guy is apparently still intact everywhere. And Nancy Mace introduced a resolution. It's not really, they say legislation, but it's a resolution. And she introduced it to make sure that men do not enter women's spaces, restrooms, locker rooms, and the like. The fact that we actually have to have resolutions introduced to stop this I don't understand why that is. It doesn't make any sense. 5 minutes ago, this would have been unthinkable. You would have been laughed at if you said that this was necessary. You would have been laughed right out of the building. But yet here we are. So Nancy Mace introduced some legislation to to prevent dude from being allowed in women's spaces. And it's just, like I said, it's just laughable that we even have to deal with this. But here's what she had to say on the subject.
Effort in response to Congresswoman McBride's coming to Congress?
Yes, and absolutely, and then some. I'm not going to stand for a man. If someone with a penis is in the women's locker room, that's not okay. And
No,
I'm
it's
a
not.
victim of abuse myself. I'm a rape survivor. I have PTSD from the abuse I've suffered at the hands of a man. And I know how vulnerable women and girls are in private spaces. So I'm absolutely 100% going to stand in the way of any man who wants to be in a women's restroom, in our locker rooms, in our changing rooms. I will be there fighting you every step of the way. So if
Absolutely. As it should be. And like I said, the fact that she even has to, or that she feels the need to introduce this type of resolution is just mind-boggling. It really is. But because she did this, because she introduced this bit of legislation, she's been getting death threats. She's been getting death threats from gender diluted psychopaths, basically. And one of them, there's been a few, but you may have seen this one already, maybe not. But one of them is just anyway. It's this gender diluted dude. I'm going to try and pull it up here in a second. It's this gender diluted dude who thinks that because, and here's what I really don't understand. If the reason why women don't want these dudes in their spaces is that they don't feel safe, and your response is to threaten to kill someone because they don't want you in their space because they don't feel safe. Well, thank you for proving the point, you moron. But here's one of them, and it's just, I mean, this is very obviously a dude. Just listen to this.
This video goes out to Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I hope that one day I do find you in that women's bathroom and I grab your ratty looking fucking hair and drag your face down to the floor while I repeatedly bash it in until the blood's everywhere and you're dead. Thank you. I hope that Nancy Mace receives this message well. Kisses.
Well, mission accomplished, because she got it. And now the Capitol Police and probably the FBI have it too. So enjoy, because you probably will end up meeting her, but you'll be in cuffs in court, getting ready to go to jail. Idiot. These people are just, well, like I said, they're mental cases. They're very obviously mentally deranged, and threatening to grab a woman by her hair and bash her face in is it, how does that help your case? All it does is prove what we already know, that you're a psycho. That's it. All it does is prove that you're a psycho. So as much as I really can't stand these people, my faith requires that I pray for them. And so that's what I do. But I also pray that they get the justice they deserve, because that is absolutely not okay. And under any other circumstance, because honestly, I really don't understand these people. Anyway. All right. One last topic before we get you out of here. And I guess I'm really not, didn't really end it. So if you can't see any of the content, I do apologize. We will try to get it worked out before Tuesday. But the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is, well, one of the last things is the meltdowns on the left because of Trump's win. These meltdowns are epic. These meltdowns are epic. And I think the biggest meltdown, the biggest one right now, is with Morning Joe and Mika Brzezinski. They are on MSDNC in the morning for I didn't realize it was 4 hours. They are bloviating for 4 hours, and they spend 4 hours Monday through Friday talking about how Trump is Hitler, Trump is a Nazi, Trump is a white supremacist, Trump is a rapist, he's this, he's that. They spend 4 hours every day talking about that. And they decided, now that he's won, that they are going to try and play nice, I guess. And they're only doing this because their ratings are in the toilet. That's the only reason. Their ratings, like, it was a ratings catastrophe after the election for these people. And if you take a look at this article is a little older, because it came out, well, it's about a week old. But it's perfect because it's got Joe and Mika on the cover, and it shows how their ratings are down. Morning Joe's down 40%, Joyless Reed's down 55%, and Andrea Mitchell down almost 40%, Chris Hayes down almost 50%, Alex Wagner over 50%, Lawrence O'Donnell and Stephanie Rule over 60%. Wow. Oh my goodness. That is just, those ratings are cratering. But Joe and Mika, they decided that they were going to go down to Mar-a-Lago, play nice, and kiss the ring. And they did that, and their ratings tanked even more. As they were announcing that they did that, people just tuned out. People clicked off. Rosie O'Donnell put out a video saying that she was never going to watch them again because they betrayed her. They betrayed their audience. And to a certain extent, I think they did. But it also shows that they didn't believe any of the stuff they were saying in the first place. Because if they really believed that Trump was Hitler, that Trump was a Nazi, that Trump was all the things that they said he was over the past 8 years, if they really believe that, why would they bother going down to to Mar-a-Lago, to his home, and meet with him for 90 minutes. I mean, seriously. Why would anyone in their right mind do that? And the only explanation is they didn't believe any of it in the first place. And I think we all know that most of these people don't believe any of the nonsense that comes out of their mouths when it comes to Trump. They don't believe he's a Nazi. They don't believe he's a white supremacist. They don't believe that well, he technically is a felon, I guess, but they don't believe that he deserved 91 felonies. They don't believe he deserved to be found guilty of 34 different infractions when it was all part of the same transaction. They don't believe that he defrauded anybody, when the bank that he allegedly defrauded said that they made money and they would do business with him again. I mean, just nobody believes it. Nobody believes any of it. So their ratings are in the toilet, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer network. And now it turns out that the parent company of MSDNC is spinning off MSDNC, CNBC, and a few of their other channels into separate entities because they don't want to be bothered with it anymore. They don't. It's not making them any money anymore. So it would not surprise me in the least if all of the talent over there, and I use that word very loosely, but it wouldn't surprise me if Joe and Mika and Joy and Chris Hayes and Rachel Madcow and Lawrence O'Donnell and all the rest of them, all the ones that are making millions and millions of dollars, if they all got booted in the next 6 months. And some people have even speculated that MSDNC is about to go into a rebranding phase where they try to do something more along the lines of Fox News and have a balance of conservative and leftist commentary, and basically just do straight news during the day and have evening commentary where they actually have leftists and conservatives actually debating and discussing topics and things like that. We'll see if that happens. That might work. Maybe. We'll see. But MSDNC, as it's currently constructed, is not going to last much longer. And I don't care. I don't care. Couldn't it happen to a nicer group of people? Anyway, folks, we're going to call it. And I want to thank you all for sticking with me if you did through some of these technical difficulties. Thank you all for watching and listening. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Please remember to share and subscribe so that we can continue to get the word out. Because just because we won, the fight is not over. We want to continue to spread the conservative message and the message of hope and the blessings of liberty that God has given us with this great country, and we want to preserve it for future generations. We want to make sure that what we have is passed down, and if we stop now because we think we won, well, then that won't happen. But thank you for watching and listening. And if you like the shirt I'm wearing, again, well, if you can't see it, head over to missionreadymen.com and shop Seven Armors and check out all of our cool designs anyway. Hopefully we will have these technical difficulties sorted out by Tuesday. Not hopefully, we will have it sorted out by Tuesday. But as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.